Good evening and welcome to the 6th Town Hall meeting on the Montserrat Port Development Project. Firstly, let me apologize for the late start, but we get started anyway, right? Let's go. We're broadcasting live from the St. Peter's Anglican School. I am Charlene Lindsay of Golden Media, your moderator for this session. We acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Premier, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communications and Works, the project team, and Meridian's representatives. I now invite you to stand for prayer by Mr. Jim Bass.
Heavenly Father, your word says that where two or three are gathered in your name, that you are in the midst. And Father God, we are gathered in your name. We want to thank you, Lord, for bringing us together. We thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Many, Lord, we take for granted: hearing, sight, the ability to communicate, move around, to taste, and to feel. God, you're a good God. You woke us up this morning. You didn't have to do it. But here we are, Lord, in your presence at this particular update of the Port Development Project. We want to thank you, Lord, for bringing this project this far. We thank you for the ability to communicate with those who are not here via the streaming process. We thank you, O God, for the gift of engineering and science and all other aspects of daily life which enhance the quality of life. And so, Father God, we ask that you will give us and provide the necessary wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to move this project along to the point where it will significantly enhance, Lord, the development of Montserrat. So, Lord, we just place everything in your hands, and we ask that whatever is said or done will bring honor and glory to your name, for Christ's sake. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. This session will provide updates on the progress of the port project with special emphasis on environmental, social, and gender safeguards. The signing of the contract for the Montserrat Port Development Project was on May 19, 2022. It was followed by the groundbreaking on June 21, 2022. The project has financial support from the Caribbean Development Bank, the UK Caribbean Infrastructure Fund, the European Union Development Fund, and the Government of Montserrat. The agencies in this project are as follows: clients, Government of Montserrat, Ministry of Communication, Works, Labour and Energy, and the leads on the Port Development Project. The key stakeholder is the Montserrat Port Authority, and monitors, supervising engineers are Stantec. The contractor is Meridian Construction. We'll begin with project updates by Mr. Andre Daly, and he is the Clerk of Works. Mr. Daly.
Sorry, I'm not Mr. Daly. Mr. Daly will come in just a while. I'm just providing some technical support here to just get us back up. We should be. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrew Daly, Clerk of Works for the Montserrat Port project, and just in case you're wondering what my role may be on the project, it's really to monitor the works, the ongoing works done by the contractor, making sure that everything is done according to the contracted documents. And here we'll start our project update. Seems to have a bit of a problem with the projector, so let's get that sorted and then we'll start again. So here we go. So as you know, we're doing the Montserrat project, and it's for the redevelopment and reestablishment of our economic stability. And it's an initiative by the government of Montserrat so that we can have major changes in the way Montserrat develops and go forward in the future. And as you see here, we usually start with this picture what we had before this project started, when we had rough seas with the overtopping of the existing jetty. Okay, so we pretty much have an idea of what we used to have there. And the main focus of this project, as we said, is to provide a safe harbor. And it's a combination of a breakwater and a pier that we are showing here, as many people thought that there wasn't a breakwater facility being built, but it has a breakwater along with the pier facility. And here again we show the safe harbor and protection to the existing jetty to allow for berthing, as you see. And we have 130 meters of pier. And to put it in perspective, that would be just about 500 feet. And it would be allowing us to berth vessels up to 187 meters. So starting from the last period that we had the town hall meeting, we have come to the progress of having caissons being built. So here we show the stacking of the D1 base units and the typical units, which are the D2, which is on top. And this is how they would similarly be stacked in the ocean and anchored to the ocean floor. In January, we had a visit from our yearly review team, and there were members, Dr. Kalim Shah, he was the head, he's here. Alongside was Mr. Augustine, Alexander Augustine from the CDB, and that's next to Dr. Shah, and then you have Miss Anne Jocelyn from the UK, or the FCDO, and they were all here to analyze what we've done for the year and provide us with relevant feedback. So another completion that we had over the period was the successful submission of construction drawings to the physical planning unit, and these have been passed. So that allies all fears of whether the drawings are approved for construction. And construction has started in the water, and this shows the laying of the first temporary caisson. These caisson units are going to be used. If you see this photo, this display here, this shows where the caissons would have been placed. Now, these temporary caissons are used to enable the laying of the permanent caissons, which are these, which make up the rowboat, and these ones, which would make up the pier. So that is a significant milestone that we achieved by having these first caissons in the water. We have some ongoing procurement for port equipment. So when we have our new port, they'll have some accompanying new equipment. And this process is ongoing. It includes telehandler and forklifts, which will be used by the port in their day-to-day activities. So these would be with the port way before the pier is completed. And our most recent review mission from the CDB and the UKSIF took place in April. And the UKSIF and the CDB has committed to support the project in any way possible, when, especially now they come on the ground and they see what the dynamics of the project is, they have a greater understanding to help moving forward. So this took place in mid-April. So we've been asked for more realistic visuals for the project. And here this evening we'll unveil some of our computer-generated images showing how the pier would look once it is completed. And it'll also show its proximity and its size compared to the other structures around. So here we have an overhead drone shot. And this is a shot from if you are standing by Benny, or what we would call Summer Breeze in the Marine Village, and looking over. And you could, for comparison, see how it overshadows the image of the Jayden, not the Jayden, the VTV ferry that recently served us. And here we have another depiction of a drone shot showing its size and its clearance that we would have in the bay. And with that, on behalf of the ports, there's one more. Okay, and this one is along the causeway, as you would have passed the existing pier, approaching the new pier.
Taking any questions?
After the rest presentation, we'll be taking questions. So thank you very much, and that is the port project update from the port project team.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Now let's hear from representatives from Meridian Construction Company Limited. We have the project manager, Mr. Peter Watson-Hoffer, and our social and gender specialist, Dr. V. Clarice Barnes.
Perfect. Good evening to everyone. Good to see everyone here again. So I'll keep tonight's update quite brief and to the point. I think Andre's done a great job giving you an idea of what the port will look like and currently where we are. I haven't gone into any design. I think we covered design, temporary works, a lot of those items in the past, but to go through and talk a little bit where we are and what's the way forward. So to begin with, this is just the dredging. Nothing on the dredging has changed a lot. So okay, a photo of Little Bay on the left there, and on the right we've got a heat map here showing the status of the dredging. So you can see, trying not to get too far away from the microphone, is the red area is where there's still some dredging to be done. We are talking with the government. There are some rocks here. You can see in these locations there's 3 quite large boulders there that we're looking at a way to deal with those, and we can complete the dredging scope. So that's an important, before the port opens, we need that to be dredged out so the vessels can come in safely and have an area to turn, etc., etc.
So can you show where that is physically on the actual map?
This here, so you see
on
this.
The real map, on
Okay.
the real life.
Yeah, no, I can do. To take this point here is this point here. So then that corner there will go somewhere like this here. So that's always a good point to have, is this potato hill here. It gives you a good reference where the rest is. On to the status of the site, there's a few things to see here. What we can see, we're still operating the quarry. We're getting material there for the backfilling operations. Secondly, we've got the concrete slabs ongoing, so that will be the roadway to the port itself. So that's those concrete slabs there. As you can see, we've poured the first slab. We skip a slab and the second slab is ready to be poured. So we'll continue with that. We've also got our drainage pipes in. So again, to show you, here and here is where there's 2 drains. So that will take the runoff from the mountains, the runoff from the port area, and discharge them into the ocean, the rainwater. And then you can see we've pushed out with the Ro-Ro area and getting ready for the caissons. So this was a photo taken today, and we've also got the caissons stage there ready to be installed. One point we did want to make out to marine users and swimmers is we've got the yellow silk curtain there, which again I'll point out is here. We just ask that all marine users and swimmers stay outside that boundary. As you can see, we've got the long reach with its buckets in the water. There's subsea activities going on. We don't want anyone to be hurt. We don't want to have any damage done to any equipment or any vessels, etc. So we do ask people to stay outside of that. So for us, we've been working through the process of putting the temporary caissons in. We've had some issues with the first caissons that we put in. We removed those caissons, that they weren't installed as per the permanent design. So I know there's been some concerns about why the caissons started to lean. They are temporary caissons. With the permanent caisson design, there's a different seabed configuration with a lot more scour protection, etc., etc. We've taken them out. We've cleared the seabed there, and we're going to replace the temporary caissons in a different configuration, so that the long reach excavator there, which is in orange, and the crane, they can then move on top of those temporary caissons and install the permanent caissons. What we've taken out of it as a team is the lessons learned from operating the stone spreader. So you can see the stone spreader in yellow there, operating the equipment, understanding how the process goes together. Every job you do with construction, there's also always a learning process. Even though this is a tried and tested method, it's the team we've got here, the equipment we've got here, to make sure it all comes together. So we're confident moving forward. The crews understand. We've had some lessons learned. There were some dredging activities we did in front of the caissons that got close to the caissons, causing it to lean. So we'll push those dredging activities out to ensure that doesn't happen in the future.
Can you go back to this? What's that line of the sea?
That there is what we call a silk curtain. So what that is, it hangs in the water and it stops any turbidity from going further past that silk curtain, and it contains the murky water. So when we're dredging at the moment, you can see where the excavator is, there's some turbidity, there's some material in the ocean, and what that silk curtain does, it prevents that material from going out too far and contains it. So it's part of the environmental control we have for dredging and in-water works. Next set up here is Piper's Pond. So as Andre mentioned, the production is going there. We're starting to store quite a few completed caissons here. We're ongoing with the caisson works. All the caissons for the Ro-Ro, and the Ro-Ro, what we call, would be the structure that will go along here. All those caissons have been cast, so they're ready to be put in the water. So we're quite keen to get that structure built so we can use those caissons up, complete the Ro-Ro structure, backfill, and then complete the concrete works on top there. But that's a significant milestone for us, that we have enough caissons stored here and at site so the Ro-Ro structure can be completed. So work's ongoing here. That's Monday to Saturday. We have a day shift. We also have a night shift as well, of a small night shift that's working through the night to ensure we set up for day shift and keep the production going. Some may have seen a concrete pump has arrived yesterday, so that will increase our production there. And we've got a few other items as well turning up in the next 4 to 6 weeks to increase the production in Piper's Pond. The key here is to get the caissons in the water so we can have additional storage and allow the crews to work a little bit easier without so many caissons around them. So the next key steps, so it'll be quite a short presentation tonight, is permanent materials. So we're continuing to receive permanent materials. Again, the last few weeks, those down at the port would have seen quite a few flat rack containers of rebar. We're now storing that in our office laydown. A big positive of that is we've got now a nice stock of rebar. We're not waiting for shipments. Aggregate, cement, slags, sand, etc. We're looking at the next order in the coming months, 6 weeks. So we'll refill the bins we have, the stockpiles we have. So we're in discussions with our suppliers there. So we'll continue with the permanent materials. We're looking at the electrical, utilities, all those items to be ordered and come to site. At the moment, we've got our rock anchors. The rock anchors are the devices that will anchor the caissons to the seabed. So we've got the grout that will arrive here in the next 2 weeks, and we've just had all our drilling equipment, mixing equipment and rock anchors leave Europe and should be here in the next 6 weeks. So once the Ro-Ro caissons are placed, we can drill and secure those caissons to the seabed. So for us, it's quite a nice area, quite a nice place to be with the materials coming, because we start to de-risk the project. As you all know, getting materials to Montserrat is a big challenge. If we have the materials here and we have a stockpile of the materials, it allows us to continue with the works and just replenish those materials. Obviously, the next key step, as I said, was continuing the casting of the caisson units, so continue that production. We'd like to increase that production as well. Reinstalling the temporary caissons, followed by the permanent units for the Ro-Ro, and that will open up a lot of work for us in the Ro-Ro area. The dredging, as I explained at the start of the presentation. So to complete that, work through the issues of these large boulders, and then on the causeway Ro-Ro, we want to finish off the coastal protection on the inside. On the outside, we've got the dynamic coastal protection that we want to protect. At the moment, that's working quite well for us. On site, it's protecting us a fair bit on the Ro-Ro already, and then continue with the concrete slab so we can finish off the driveway there. Yeah.
Just a quick suggestion.
Yeah.
Sometimes we assume that people know what we're talking about with
Okay.
some abbreviations.
Yeah.
So when you say Ro-Ro, perhaps you should
So
explain.
roll on, roll off. So that's similar to what you have at the moment with the existing pier. So where the ramps come down and the trailers, equipment can drive on and off.
Right, I just wanted
Yeah, no, perfect. No, appreciate that. And then the next thing with the causeway / the Ro-Ro is the services. And when we say services, we've got electrical service to put in there. We've got water pipes to put in there, drainage. There's also light poles to go in, etc., etc. So there'll be a fair bit of work. What one of our aims is to do is try and complete the works we can complete. In other jobs, they may plan the works to do the structural works first, do the structural concrete slabs, and then come back and finish off. We're trying to do as much work as we can as we move forward. Again, a brief presentation, just to give an overview where we're going. We've really moved out of design, engineering, procurement we're still doing, but we've located our suppliers and we're really heavily into the construction, and that's our main aim at the moment. So thank you very much for that. I'll hand over to Dr. Barnes and let her present about social and gender.
Good evening. I am hesitating about what exactly to say about the work we are doing in social and gender, and I'm hesitating because it's so much of it. You would have heard that Meridian is an inclusive employer, and by that we mean that all people in Montserrat, whatever age, whatever ability, race, class, nationality, are free to engage in the work that Meridian is doing. And we also predicated that on the social impact assessment that was conducted in advance of the work. And through that assessment, it was recognized that women and youth and the disabled were at particular disadvantage. And so whatever we do, we take that into account. So you have about 100 employees at Meridian, and it's substantially men, because that's what happens in construction work. And because we know that, and because of the assessment that was done in advance, we have taken the steps to do some women and youth in construction sensitization. So in July last year, we had a women in construction taster, women and youth in construction taster. And I tend to say women most of the time because we had more women turning out than youth. And they had the opportunity to manipulate heavy-duty equipment, and in some instances, as you're seeing, they were able to do a little bit of work. And we are hoping that as a result of this sensitization, that interest would be built among women to engage more fully in construction and more fully in the manipulation of heavy-duty equipment. I would say that as a result of this early work, we now have an increase in the number of women who are actually working in construction. And we married this awareness with work in the schools, so where we tried to engage the schools in discussions about the technical and vocational curriculum. And also we had a few students who came and were interned with us in the summer, particularly around mechanics. So we followed up that early activity with another activity in December, and this one we call a triple up. And it's because we had the heavy-duty equipment alongside with carpentry and welding. And we had to keep the heavy-duty equipment aspect in because women seem to be very, very keen on that. One of the comments we heard was that men have been fooling us all along and giving us the impression that it's really hard to do this, but women found out that the equipment, they're air-conditioned, and once you learn how to do the manipulation, it's not as hard as it seems. And that was a good outcome. We had older women and we had younger women. We didn't have, as I said, we didn't have as many young men as young women, and possibly the reason for this might be that young men did not want to participate along with women or young women in an activity like this. So we have noted that and we will try to remedy that. All of these were very heavily advertised, and the advertisements took into account age and all the other distinctions that we needed to make. Additional to that social awareness building, I mentioned that we have been engaging with the schools, and we engage with the youth department as well. In the youth department in their careers fair, and the youth department in terms of our taking on a number of young people as interns. And because we are very concerned about reaching youth, we have used the youth within Meridian to engage with youth. We have intern engineer, we have intern social and gender specialist, social and gender assistant, and an environmental monitor who we give that responsibility to. And they have managed to do that very well. So you're seeing in the shot B that engagement. We decided that we are going to go as early into the early years as well, as you see in shot C. And the nursery schools do a fundraiser in December, and we collaborated with the nursery schools so that the early years came, and they were able to, you'll see in this shot C, that some of them are dressed up in hard hats, and they were able to ask us questions about what we were doing. And we thought that if we engage our children as early as possible in things to do with construction, they are going to remember, and decisions about careers and so on could be spawned by those early exposures. We also have in D an example of our engagement with the social services around issues to do with men's health. So for International Men's Day, we had a day of pampering and health, men's health, focusing on men and suicide, the mental health of men. And we did that for men in the community as well as men at Meridian. So men had their, the prosthetic checks were done and other health checks. And the day also included pampering, massages, and games and other things in support of men's wellness. And alongside International Men's Day, because everything we do, we are trying to ensure there's equality in our involvement. We did something for International Women's Day that could be seen in E, and we collaborated with the social services in working with farmers and vendors, women farmers and vendors. We recognize that our workers, their health is reliant on having good food resources, and we also recognize that those who are providing it, who are substantially women, need to have the right conditions under which to produce and under which to trade. So we had a market day, which turned out to be very successful, and we are also promoting some of the foods that we tend not to use as much anymore. So we have the Director of Social Services holding a tire head. And food security is an important thing, not only for Montserrat, but for other places in the world. Another area of engagement and with youth and schools was with the St. Augustine Maths and Science Club, and we have our chief engineer explaining things to do with the port development project, as well as dealing with mathematical and scientific information. These children who were aged 7 to 11, they asked some really profound questions about the port development project. And, you know, we could see that in 20 or 30 years, we are going to have engineers, politicians, accountants, and all sorts, because they wanted to know how much it's costing, who's going to pay for it, when is it going to be completed. And then they asked about the caissons and the sea's impact on what is being built, how long will the structure last. And I said to colleagues, this was the best town hall meeting I ever went to. Still engaging with school and demonstrating corporate responsibility. We have thank you letter from one of our schools who made a request of us. And also, in order to promote awareness on the issue of in the inclusion of peoples with disability, we decided to work along with the schools in awarding children with disabilities trophies, perseverance trophies, and this happened at both primary and secondary school. We are seeing one of the children who received from the primary school and 2 who received from the secondary school. In deciding on who should be helped, we have established criteria, and you know, so there's an amount, there's a cap, and there's also a cap on the number of times you can get help. And we confine these to work with children, work with the disabled, work with the elderly, and not commercial requests, which we get a lot of. So the next one is the matrix dancers, and their children perform, their children, the section that deals with their children's performance, and so they were supported in that. And then another set of dancers who went off to Nevis, sent kids to be trained, and you know, we are building capacities around cultural expressions. Another attempt at raising awareness on disability, on raising awareness on vulnerability, and on social and gender issues. We did this through supporting the Calypso competitions that are organized by the Montserrat Arts Council. And we have found that there's still a lot of work that we need to do around getting the public to understand the need for the inclusion of people with disabilities, or even acknowledging that you can speak publicly about disabilities. Earlier this week, I attended the national consultation on the disabilities policy, the national disabilities policy, and so I was able to feedback some of that information there. Moving a little bit further on, Meridian gives support financially, and those that I've mentioned so far, financial support, but we also give support in kind in terms of labor and heavy-duty equipment used for the clearing of project sites. And so the governor's office is establishing a playground, and this shot in G is showing us that the site has been cleared, and it was cleared by Meridian Equipment and Labor. And then the next one in H, we have the National Trust receiving the same in-kind support for the excavation of an outdoor classroom. And the Junior Olympics has asked for something similar, but we are working We are going to do that much later on because of the intensity of the construction work on the port at this time. And very recently we had the STEM Expo, and again our young interns, the engineering and environment, social and gender interns, are pictured with our children who seem to be listening very attentively to their explanations about things to do with the port. I omitted to say that we have also been on the radio explaining the careers that are available in engineering and construction. And I'm pedaling back now to work with our men, our workers, men and women, and all the other categories that I've explained of workers in social and gender sensitization training. All workers are exposed to training in social and gender sensitization. So gender definitions and concepts and things to do with equality and equity, sexual harassment, domestic violence, human trafficking, all of those areas are covered in that training. And we also had men who, I keep on saying men, and contradicting my own intentions not to yield to stereotypes. Our workers have also received training in first aid, and for that, and for the training in gender socialization, sensitization, they have had certification. We also conduct something called a toolbox weekly, where some of these issues and health issues, well-being issues are done in very short sessions. And then the moments of celebration, where at least once a month the workers come together and share a meal and share drinks and have a relaxation session. So these are the varieties of interventions that we are engaging with in order to make sure that all workers' well-being is assured, and that there's an interaction between the community and the Meridian, the contractor, over issues that are common to both. And what we have been doing have been appraised by the CDB and the FCDO, and we have contributed to discussions elsewhere in the Caribbean on these, and it has been found that the model that we are using is one that is appreciated and could be replicated elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meridian representatives. Now that you've heard the main presentations this evening, we would like to give you, the public, an opportunity for your questions to be answered or just to share your observations. Please introduce yourself when you step towards the microphone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Julian Rogan. Just two questions. I remember when the port was being built in Plymouth, that the rebars were coated with a blue paint. I'm just wondering why the rebars not coated, and the reason why. So that's number one question. Secondly, I looked at the pictures that you produced here, and all the ships are on the outside of the wharf, facing the. Yeah. I noticed is that I don't know.
Yeah, there's photographs depicting ships on both sides. To answer your first question, so the pier is designed to, as you can see in this side. So you heard the project manager mention earlier about the roller ramp, and Mr. West was asking him to, say to us what is the roller. It means the roll on and roll off ramp that is here. It's sloping downwards, so it allows the current container vessels that service Montserrat that they can continue to service using the new pier. And what it allows for, while ships are servicing the new pier, the existing pier is still available for things like the ferry to dock and other smaller vessels. So indeed, we can berth on both sides. And yes, can berth on both sides. Your next question was?
The steel coated.
Right, so we have had this question as well, even at the physical planning level. What we realized over the last 20 to 15 years, they have abandoned this method because there are some downsides to using that coating on the steel. If there's some gaps in that coating, it allows moisture to stay inside and allows the steel to corrode a lot quicker, at a quicker rate. So the method that is being used now is to ensure that we have sufficient cover or distance from the surface for the steel. Okay? Any other questions from the audience? We do have some questions. Yes, recognizing the Honorable Paul Lewis.
Yeah, Paul Lewis, St. Peter's. Actually, what I wanted to ask, because by looking at the photograph, I'm not seeing a breakwater, whether partial breakwater or full breakwater. So I'd like to find out what the reason why there is no longer a breakwater. I remember it started to be from being a full breakwater, and then it's down to a partial breakwater. I'm not seeing a breakwater on the photos
right
that were given out. So could you explain if there is a partial breakwater? I see putting on the screen. Why is it only a partial breakwater, which I assume is 30 meters as opposed to the 130 meters?
Okay, thank you, sir, for your question. And so, in Montserrat terms, we define a breakwater as a structure that is built from rocks. Now, this is a concrete pier that has the attributes of a breakwater. It doesn't allow water to pass through or the waves to pass through, so it deflects the wave action in the same way as if you would have a full breakwater, as we would call it. The 30 meter which you refer to, which is referred to as well as our coastal protection. It is the seaward coastal protection as well, and it protects the causeway and the beginning section of the pier. So it operates in the same way as you would expect a rubble or a rock breakwater to perform. It deflects the wave action.
Could you please show it? It's a kind of...
So this is the pier itself.
So we breakwater inbound.
Right. So this is a nice view here. All right. This is a nice view. This is the 130 meter pier. It's a full structure, and it would deflect the wave action as the wave get into contact with that full structure. Same way as if you just had rocks in that position, it would prevent your wave action from disturbing your harbor here. More so, your existing jetty will be well protected, which is one of the major objectives of the structure.
Yes, sorry, I want to be clear. You put up a picture on the screen earlier that appeared to have showing a breakwater. Could you show me there on that you could go back?
So you want to see the site plan?
Yeah, I'm assuming what you show there in the right-hand corner there, I'm assuming that's the 30 meters of breakwater you're referring to.
That's the 30 meters of coastal
Yes,
protection.
what I want to ask is what exactly, what height waves does that protect? Because we know there are different height waves depending on whether it's a tropical storm or whatever the case is, the rough seas, normal rough seas.
All right, so the entire structure is designed for maximum wave height of 6.5 meters. If we do that in feet, that is roughly 20 feet, thereabout wave. So it can withstand the impact of a 20-foot wave, that the entire structure. But if you imagine the height of the pier itself and 20 feet, 6.5 meters, of course you would have some over toppling in that instant, and that is an extreme case. You would have that happening.
Yes, David Osborne. Well, there are a few things I want to clarify, and I like to talk straight, and I hope that you guys do talk straight. Well, let me just go back to one. I understand what you're saying about the little breakwater system, because that little, what you said it is, that is at the start of the dock, the pier.
Sea defense.
The sea defense, okay. You have, what is it, 30 meters, you said?
Yeah, thereabout.
Okay, I can understand that part. But I now understand, because you have some concrete slabs which should be filled, you said, on the inside, so it's going to act like a solid barrier.
Exactly.
And also give the ability to also use the outer side of the dock in terms of calm water to be able to also use that. But I heard you mention pertaining to the rebars for the structure that you said you don't need to use the coated or epoxy coated steel that they normally use because I think you said because if there's space, some little thing like that, whatever.
Yes, if there are defects.
Yeah, but let's be clear with that. If it's like a car, if you have a car and it's painted or it's just bare metal, it's going to rust if it gets moisture to it or water to it. The same steel that you put in it and not coated will be less protective because when you break that slab, you're hoping, and the way it's been vibrated, okay, it's got to be properly vibrated and so on, you're hoping that no moisture gets to that steel, period. But what I'm saying is that if it's coated, it's going to take a longer while to be able to rust that would expand, because when the steel rust is going to expand. It's like a flooring of a house. If the steel gets moisture, it rusts and it cracks. So I understand that. So let's not mislead the people saying that the coated steel is not the best steel for it. If you're saying something else, because you're going to be properly in a concrete slab. But you said the height of the dock will be what? From the water level will be.
So the dock will be completed at 3 meter.
3 meter.
3 meter level above water. So the current pier is about 2 meters, so we just be about 1 meter higher than the existing jetty.
Okay, well we know water is going to come over that at times, but we have to use what we have. But the other thing I'm seeing in one of your photos, because as we were saying, in terms of the fishermen and thing, I know from my little experience as a marine person, there's going to be a bit of this dock that you're building, because it's going to be a solid fill, will create a better shelter for the inner dock area. And as we said, and we're showing in this, there's no space period for the fishers there for their boats and anything. But now that you're going to have a calmer area on the inside, wouldn't it be easier for the government or for them to be able to put a proper area so that the fishermen can actually dock their vessel at some point, whether on the the southern part of the older pier, to make a difference? Because I said there's no. I remember at first when you started, there was a saying that they were going to build a dock over by.
A temporary dock.
A temporary dock. They were going to build by Piper's Pond, and you would leave the dock for the fishermen. But nothing is going to happen like that. So where is the area? What is being in discussion to be able to facilitate the fishers?
All right, thank you for your question. And so we continue to look at areas where this can be facilitated. We have looked at various options, and as well we continue to look at the entire master plan for Little Bay. So all that has to be taken into consideration in if we were able to acquire funds and able to put in a dock for the fisher folks. And so we have gone to the fisher folks. They have given us their suggestions where they think it would be best laid out as well. But we also have to take into consideration the whole master planning for Little Bay. Use the mic. No, because people.
Good afternoon, Marsha Mead, Palmlope. I remember hearing recently that the port project would be completed in 1 year. Then in a news item recently, I think it was this week, that I heard it would be completed either December, the end of the year, or January 2025. So which is it?
So the current date, as we know, according to schedule, is mid-January 2025.
Okay. My second question is, I remember seeing a document where it says that 324 caissons would be built. And when I look at the photos there, I look at what is physically there at the port and what is on Piper's Pond, I'm seeing about 20. So
to date, we can report when we have completed 45 caissons.
45.
And they have completed all the caissons required to build the Roro ramp, the roll-on and roll-off ramp.
Okay, that's the Roro.
Yes, and so they're continuing to produce
in terms
caissons.
of the timeline, are we saying that you're going to have 324 caissons built by the end of the year and put them in place to complete the port project?
According to schedule.
Have you considered the drastic climates that we would get and how that would impact on the completion of
hurricane season is considered as well. And not only how that impacts your production, but how it impacts the equipment that is available. We have to ensure those are being protected. So just this week, we start having, well, the contractor has, shared with us, they start looking at their hurricane plan as they get into the hurricane season. Yeah. This as well, they usually coordinate with the DMCA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. West?
Good afternoon, Denzel West, Lawyers Mountain. As you know, I've been to all of these town hall meetings. So I can tell you that what I'm seeing now is quite different from where we started. And I'm glad to hear that you have now produced drawings that have been approved by the Physical Planning Department. So I want to come back to what was a bit of an issue for me right from the beginning, as you would recall. And that is that I think that a $100 million project needs to have computer-generated graphics so we can see properly and visualize what we're going to get. And I hope that the contractor, now that they have drawings that have been passed, can get to that stage between the contractor and the Public Works Department, Ministry of Communication and Works, can present us with better drawings and pictures that shows exactly what we are going to get. As Mr. Osborne was alluding to earlier, I'm looking at the site, and it looks to me like there will be a nice, cozy, sheltered area next to the causeway.
The green area, the green space.
Right next to the causeway.
Oh.
Right.
That's the sheltered harbor.
The sheltered harbor for what? For what? What is planned for that?
Right, so as you can clearly see, it first of all, it protects the existing jetty.
Yes, so we're building a jetty to protect the existing jetty. I get that. That is clear now.
And also, it protects a safe harbor for especially on the inner part of the
right. So,
the new pier.
But I'm wondering what is planned for inside there. It looks to me that it could be made into some sort of a docking area for fishermen or yachtsmen who would like to take their vessels out of the rough seas and be berthed next to something that is stable. So I was just wondering if that is in consideration, under consideration at all.
So everything is being looked at, but that is not part of this current project.
Okay.
But how we can future develop our entire marine space and estate is something that is being looked at, and I know they'll be looking at as well developing the land side of the port as well.
Okay. My last question for now is with regard to the actual dock on the inside of the pier that you're now building. I'm asking this question, hopefully I get an answer. What is the distance between the end of the existing pier and where it would intersect with the new pier that you're building now?
It's a roughly 75 meters, correct? Yes? 75 meters.
Right. So just for example, if a cruise ship was to dock on the inside, the current ro-ro ships that we get now would not be able to dock on the existing pier. That
we have discussed, and that will be up to the captain vessel, the captain of the vessel.
No. It would not be physically possible.
Or the existing ro-ro?
Yes.
Yes. So that will be difficult. But also the existing jetty. But remember, the facility has its own ro-ro ramp as well. Let me be clear on that. Mm-hmm. And so that area is being dredged, which is the inner area of the existing pier. And so preparation is being made so that can be used as
so you're saying that
it was used in the past to do.
So you're saying that going forward, those ro-ro ships that now come and dock on the end of the existing pier will go in to the previous ro-ro ramp that they use as the slipway now for the boats.
So there's the slipway and there's a ro-ro ramp. There's two different sections on that existing.
So you're going to excavate it such that those ships that are currently coming to Montserrat can go into there.
So yes, so that's being looked at. A matter of fact,
so you're saying it's not going to be done; it's being looked at. I just want to be clear. Language is important.
That is the intention. That is the intention. One of the first things that happened on this project was the dredging of that area, and so if you dredging around the existing pier, if you would have seen recently, there was a cement ship that was offloading cement. It was actually docked alongside the outer side as well of that pier. So we expect the same thing to happen on the inner side.
One last question. I noticed that a couple of caissons were put into the water 2 weeks ago with great fanfare. When I went down to Little Bay today, the caissons were no longer there. And persons would have observed over the weekend that they were kind of listing and leaning. So I want you to give us an explanation as to, we did hear that they were temporary, but we didn't think that they'd be coming back out in 2 weeks' time. So we want to have an idea of what happened and why were they removed and what is being done now going forward.
Okay, so I'm going to allow Peter to come and answer that question.
I was always waiting for your questions, Mr. West. I'm glad you're here. No, this is part of the process. So marine jobs, when we go from land to deep water, it's always a difficult process for us. Once we're in deep water, it's always very simple for us. We're in water, the currents on the seabed, they get reduced. It's a lot easier for us to work. So these temporary caissons, we had them in position. We haven't, and I want to stress this to the public because I know there's some concerns, we didn't install them as per a permanent design. You know, with the depths, with the scour protection we had around them to protect them. They were put there, as you said, were temporary. You know, we used them to do some dredging. Some of that dredging undermined those caissons, and we've now removed them to reset them, and they'll be put back in the coming days. And then the idea why we're putting these temporary caissons is that then we can get out to the ro-ro and place the permanent caissons. The good thing about this system is because we're basically building on land, we call it top-down construction, it allows us to mitigate impact of the weather. Because if we have a barge there, same as the vessels, when we get the high swells, etc., then we have to stop works. But at least if we're building top down on top of those caissons, the excavators, the cranes, they don't get affected by that. So it is a transition period. Myself personally, I was meant to go on leave the last few weeks. I've stopped that leave to be here to make sure that we take that step and do it correctly and safely, and to ensure that we can get the RoRo installed.
Hi, I'm Katya Jobs from St. Peter's, and people know me in the past as a social development advisor. So, Dr. Barnes, it's good to see you're on the team, and it was interesting to see what you have been doing. But a couple of issues that we have been raising from the very beginning. If you take social, environmental, and gender issues really seriously, then what I would have liked to have seen was those issues integrated into the actual design and of the project, rather than what we're seeing is some nice little I don't want to put them down, but activities on the outside which keep tick boxes and keep people happy. But and it's not a criticism at you, this is, 21st century, big companies like Meridian should have learnt lessons from, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and what I'm seeing is disappointing practice. For instance, if we're really serious about social and food security, we would have thought for this little island, how do we ensure that fishers actually are safeguarded and have proper protection and are able to more safely and bring their catch easily into and on land. We have 5 moorings. We have been raising that from the beginning. It's disappointing that, and for me, thinking about the people whose livelihoods are dependent on this would be about putting social at the heart of what you're doing. We absolutely need more affordable fish, more regular and reliable, and a greater supply of fish. But I haven't heard anything about ensuring that the ramp for the fishermen to bring up their boats has been increased in size so it's easier for them. I know fishers and other businesses, scuba diving for instance, are spending 2 hours extra a day just bringing their boats in and out of the water. That is a loss of income. That is not taking social and economic into account. So in the meantime, you're doing nice things to improve, cooking and food for the workers, great. But, if you're really taking on social, you would have thought of the livelihoods for fishermen and actually for the people on island. Secondly, I'm glad people mentioned yachts. Yachts bring in a drip feed of money into the island. They spend locally. A lot of big yachts, they don't necessarily spend a huge amount on the island. Again, we've not got mooring for yachts. If we were really serious about the social and economic, we would have looked at how we bring in the drip of yachts. This is a year and a half on, or year on since, we've written letters everywhere, and again, we're not seeing those solutions. It's great that Meridian is doing corporate social responsibility, but that has been critiqued for 30 years as add-ons rather than integrating. And I would have hoped that we would see, we could do better. One of the big concerns that we raised was Little Bay is your heart of Montserrat. It's the future capital. It's got to be a port. It's your liming and cultural and social centre. It's the one accessible beach where people with disabilities could come and young kids could come and learn to swim, and they did. This Easter, we didn't have our usual fish and fins swimming. because there's too many stones and rocks around the place as a result of the construction. So again, if we were really serious, sorry this is critical, but if we were really serious about the social and we raised this, we would be doing everything to protect the multi-functioning, the multi-purpose needs of Little Bay. It's unique. Other islands have other opportunities to put a port. We don't. I haven't heard anything today that's told us anything about all the rocks on the beach, the sand that has gone out. Nobody has reassured me that with the runoff from the mountain and so on, we're not going to get a stinky Little Bay in that apron area, that safe area. And nobody has reassured me that we might end up with a Little Bay port where we have a harbour that is no longer swimming, Little Bay is no longer a place where you can meet to lime and socialise and swim and exercise. So if we were really serious about disability and youth, we would have thought about those things, because that's not a one-off workshop. That is actually thinking about the future of this country. We also have said from the beginning, Montserrat needs its heartbeat back like Plymouth. This was the one opportunity, Little Bay. And again, I don't see the mindset behind this, thinking about that and safeguarding and protecting those needs. And it has been horrible down on Little Bay with all the rocks. And I don't know what's going to happen, but it makes it really difficult to get in and out of the water and very uncomfortable. And that means it becomes difficult to swim. So, where does that leave us? We should say that that's recreation that's free and cheap, and we're potentially destroying it. Great that you've been looking at employing men and women. I've seen female security guards and things like that. Great that the salaries are actually higher. It's forcing the government to think about minimum wage and raising the social welfare and so on. Great. They're working 12-hour days. Those are long days. So what is being done really lots of people don't like working 12-hour days. So again, let's really, if we're really serious about social, let's put it at the center. I'm seeing contradictions there. And it's great that your equipment has been used to create a playground and so on, but blimey, seriously, PWD could do this. If Meridian was really serious about social, environmental, they would have designed things differently to really look at looking at it holistically. So my question is, with the space that you're creating, what are you doing for yachts and fishermen and for the ramp, for ensuring the beach remains usable, not just a port, because of Montserrat's uniqueness, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think you need to understand how this project was set up. So no, but you obviously don't, because the questions you're asking, the way you ask them is not correct. So as Meridian, we're brought on as an EPC contractor. We were given a layout. You saw the drawing that Rolson showed earlier. There were studies done before we were even party, before we even tendered the project. And we were told in the tender, we want something built like this. You can move it 5 metres this way, you can move it, make it a little bit longer, you can do this, you can do that. We were not part of this concept of where the port went, where there's moorings, where there's this, where there's fishermen. That has nothing to do with us. And in the contract, it's quite clear that we are restricted with what we can do.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said Meridian, because I know there's a whole group of you. No, but there is government here.
Good.
And these were issues that have been raised by many people over time. And I just feel it's great what Dr. Barnes is doing, and it looks nice, but it really is.
No, but it sounds like we need to look at it, because we sent.
We don't want to be objectified in this way.
No, but
I'm a professional.
Yes, I know.
Who is doing what I need to do based on what is required of me. Mm. And it sounds to me as if what you're suggesting is based on a much broader thing that should have happened in advance of a specialist like me coming on board.
Absolutely, I'm not criticising you at all, but I'm saying
Well,
with government and with...
You are. You're saying
Well, I
Meridian's
am.
not doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
but...
so let me...
Yes.
So we're hiring the youth. We're not getting the production out of the youth. We're still hiring them because we know that's the future here in Montserrat. So you're telling me tomorrow I should go and let the youth go because we're not doing anything? The boat ramp, for example, the dive shop here, their boat ended up on the rocks and then the trailers. We as Meridian took our machines down there to go and rescue them, get them back on land and help them. So it sounds like this is all, we should stop this. We should stop building the only child's playground in Montserrat. We should stop helping the outdoors areas. We should stop helping the youth, the people that don't get the attention. We are limited what we can do. To fix a lump sum job, we do not have a blank check from the government to say, go fix all the problems of Montserrat. They said they want the best price from us. You take this risk on, you build this for us. And that's what we're doing to the best of our abilities. Yeah. We are still a private company. We have to make a profit as well. You know, at the end of the day, what people don't realise with EPC, we take on this job with very rough terms and specifications, and we take a lot of risk on. And at the end of the day, if we make a few percent, great. Quite often these jobs, we don't, and it's a battle. We've still taken money out of that potential profit to give to the community, to help where we can, employ the youth, employ the people that aren't being used. The one example of 12-hour days, that's the security guards that are doing that. Everyone else does 10-hour days, has an hour lunch break. We've got cold water for them. We provide lunch food for them. We provide PPE, clothes, etc., etc. So I think to stand up there and paint a picture of what Dr. Barnes, what the rest of my team is doing, and Meridian is very wrong. Okay, well then I've expressed it wrongly in that I hear what you're doing, and to me that's standard, that's bread and butter, that should happen. But we have raised some of these issues, and if you're looking at the broader picture of really taking social and environmental, I feel there were opportunities maybe to make some changes, not just with you, with the government, to discuss this and to address it, because some of those issues have really long-term repercussions for the island. Well, but you also have a look at the CDB has been here, and as Dr. Barnes said earlier, saying they're starting to see what we're doing here, they want to see another project. So we're not doing the minimum, we're doing more than what's been done in other jobs. And what's required, and you say, should have been in the contract, should have been in specifications to say, we want you to fix this, we would have priced for it, and we would have fixed it. As simple as that, but we've got to lump sum. No, I know you were challenged with the budget and so on, I'm very aware of that, but anyway, thank you.
No, yeah. Katia, I am very pleased that you have raised the issues that you've raised, and we know that they are much broader contexts in which whatever we are doing in social and gender could be placed. But the reality is that what you are proposing was not part of what was envisioned for this project. And I'm always willing to engage with colleagues in discussing the larger ramifications of what I'm doing. And so I am saying to you that you are welcomed to provide the insights that you are suggesting. And I want to thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah. Claude Brown, Woodlands, Palm Loop. Palm Loop, St. Peter's Parish. St. Peter's Parish. Right? Yeah. Some of the questions raised just now are pertinent, but the time has long gone. And some people here know that I was one against the port being shifted from the original project because we were told before that if we build a port there, we would lose Little Bay. So to go to a thing. And a lot of people, but that has changed. That is something that we can't, we've reached a stage now where we can't do anything about it. I'm glad that you're putting in methods to try to protect as much of Little Bay as possible, and I hope this project can be completed with Little Bay and protect that social thing that Dr. Jobs is speaking about. But I'd like to compliment Meridian for the work they've been doing. And as a member of the National Trust, I'm thankful for the work you've been doing with regards to the open classroom for the National Trust. And I cannot thank you. I don't have enough to thank you for it. So I think you're meeting your social responsibilities beyond the port. And we need to find a time to separate certain things from others. When we are discussing something and we bring in all kind of things in the works to create impression, I'm not for that. A lot of people think the only people I figure that I would accept anything like that from is Mr. West, because Mr. West has been here all the time and he's been following. To me, I'm so upset that some of the questions that were answered long ago were brought back up here today. And it means that people are not following and choosing opportune times to come to ask questions. If you're really interested, follow the meetings. If you don't come, follow them online.
Thank you, and I recognize the Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Eastern Taylor Farrell, Excellence. I have one question, but let me make a comment. The port development is not going to solve the problem in Little Bay. There has to be the landside development, which is another component of Little Bay. So whatever we do, we have to consider the total master plan. And a little bit, the police is not going to help us by itself. There has to be the landside development, which is in the making. One question for you, though. In terms of your lighting on the jetty, how does it, would it affect the bats? How are you going to lay it out so it doesn't affect the bats in the bat cave?
So, again, with that question, that was part of the contract for us, and that study was already done for us. So to explain a little bit of the lighting, it's very minimal lighting as well. But what it will be, there will be light poles you see along here. So that'll be along the causeway for road safety, etc. And then the only lighting you have currently here is that on the inside there's going to be a concrete curb there, and there'll be small lights inside that concrete curb. So for safety of pedestrians, etc., there will be enough lighting there. There is an allowance in the contract for some lighting masks. I can't remember exactly where they were, but there's two, I think, in the Ro-Ro area. We will provide conduits, etc. So in the future, if the port deems it necessary for safety issues, they can install some high mask towers there.
Julian Rome, I'm a bit confused. In that you have a master plan, and then you fit a plan now for the port in conjunction with the master plan. I'm hearing that there's going to be a master plan after this is done, and I'm confused with that. I thought you'd see a master plan, but say, listen, this is the master plan, but this is what we have the money for to do this area right now, and then in the future, this is what's going to happen. But I'm confused. So I don't see a master plan. So the talk about master plan doesn't make sense to me. Second thing, and I brought this up, I was away for 9 months, so I couldn't follow up Claude and all the meetings. No. Hold on. 5 o'clock, 4 hours ahead, when you start a meeting at 7. Claude, come on. I sleep the time there. Sure. Anyhow, I know. One of the questions that I had at the very beginning, there was one day that 4 ships came into harbor. My phone went dead, so I can't bring up the stats. But most of them went beyond the buoy. Most of them, the length of them went beyond the what you call it, the dolphin. The dolphin. 187 meters, I think one of the boats were. One of them was 200 and something meters. I'm asking the question again. What happens on a rough day? Not a storm day, but a rough day. A rough day when one of the bigger ships come in to give birth to tourists, and it goes beyond the dolphin. What is going to happen? Is it still going to come in? Will it take a chance and come in? I want to know, because I think the dolphin, you told me back then, was 30-something meters away from the edge of the existing pier, new pier. And when you added that up to the length of the pier, most of the boats, just like the boat you're seeing right there, if it comes on the other side, will go beyond the dolphin.
Thank you for your comments and your question. As far as we know, the current ship that is being shown in the rendering here is the largest ship that currently services Montserrat waters, and so it's being designed for that. It's the windsurf, and it's 187 meters, and so that is being catered for there. In rough conditions, we cannot cater for all conditions. Rough conditions is sort of arbitrary and insane. There are different extent to which you can have rough conditions, and so.
The kind of conditions that we've seen them leave out to meet this with the weather.
Yes.
And they still come in there and give birth to the tourists. That's what I want to find. Even the 187 meters.
It may be difficult for the larger ships to board and on the outside, but on the inside, you can accommodate.
No, I'm not talking about the outside, I'm talking about
on the inside.
187 meters puts a boat like beyond
Yes. So it definitely would be a bit more challenging for a ship of that size, because there's a section that is left exposed to the elements. But remember, it will be more up against the dolphin as well, which would assist in keeping it stable. Now, the port design, let me say this, the port design in its current state cannot 100% foolproof us having calm water that would allow ships at all times. Let's be real. And that is the fact.
Listen, we have been trying to mitigate the rough days that the boat left and go about the business. That is what we need to do. The
Yes.
calm days, the boat to come out and don't need no safe harbor.
Yes.
So we're talking about the rough days.
So there are some rough days when a ship of 187 meters will be able to come. When it gets beyond the tolerance of that ship, then obviously it would not be able to let its passengers off safely. So that it comes down to the captain and how confident he is to do so.
Yeah, not that I'm taking up for Meridian or any, but being as a ship captain as I've been, involved in the sea from since I'm small and everything. The type of vessels these days that are operating, they have bow thrusters and all this kind of stuff. They can adjust themselves to fit in certain areas. As long as it's not extra rough, they can maneuver and put themselves in certain position and deal with the regular situation that they have to deal with. So it's not really too much of a, we're trying our best to get something that can facilitate to the best of our capabilities. And they're going to be able to adhere to that. You're not going to be able to actually get there. But I don't think that we have too much of a problem with certain vessels, of the modern day vessels, in terms of being able to dock in some of these areas.
Thank you. And I just want to address the concern of the muddy, stinky water. Just have a look at this rendering. Just have a look at this rendering and be honest with yourself and say to me, yes, you can see this water being stink at the end of the day after the construction of this pier.
Yes, sir. John Jeffers, St. Peter's. Presently, we have a number of guts and ravines that empties out in the Little Bay area. My question is the wharf designed to flush itself out? And with the yachts coming in, a number of them have been polluting the port area over the years. What measures are being put in place to deal with that? And can the wharf flush itself out?
Right. So in terms of the wharf being able to flush itself, it would have to rely on the tidal action. Now we know in this scenario that predominantly the wave action or the tidal action move in which direction?
Follow question to that.
Yes. So it moves north to south, southwards. So it comes in this direction. So you can see where the harbor itself would flush. I'm not saying there will not be deposition, and that will happen. And what we are putting in place is to ensure that there's a maintenance plan that looks at the dredging of the harbor when the time comes. That is something that we cannot move away from.
Ask the question, how often do you anticipate that they would have to dredge the area of the wharf?
Right. So currently we're looking at that probably within the next 10 years. As well, we would have to put a monitoring system in place that would have to be closely monitored as part of the maintenance plan to ensure that we are able to dredge it in a timely manner. As well as dredging requires budget, and so we would have to budget for that as well. There was one question online, I think, which similar to your question, which spoke to longshore drift and so on. And so as part of our monitoring plan, maintenance plan, we have to keep monitoring that. We know the existing jetty silt up about 2 to 3 meters over the last, 1 to 2 meters over the last 20 years. We had to do some dredging around that and try to get it back down to the existing level. So even without this facility, we know dredging would be required. Now, as to the rate, we would have to continue to monitor that, because you would recognize with the structure in place, it reduces the impact of the wave, which in a sense can reduce the amount of deposition you have happening. But at the same time, you can see deposition happening, you can see sand coming in, and you can see there's a hindrance for sand going out as well. So it has to be monitored, and monitored closely. That is something that we can't move away from. The port has been designed to create a safe harbor. Now, given all things equal, if we had all the monies in the world, we would have been able to build exactly what we want. I know initially we had looked at a 300-meter berthing facility, and we had to reduce this down to alternative K, talking from A right down to K, based on the budget that was available at the time. And so this is what we can afford. It's been designed for future development. And let me say this, it is a pier designed to function just as a breakwater. If that makes it clear in your mind, that is what it is. All right, and so I want to thank everyone for their input, but there's a very important point I want to make before I allow for any last questioning. As part of the project, we've been looking at skills gap, and shortly we will have a consultant come in to do a skills gap assessment. And following on to that, we'll be having training in areas for women and youth where we can develop capacity and position our people to be able to really benefit from this new facility that will be in place. And for me, that is very important as part of our development. And that is a plus for the project. All right? So I'll allow for final comments. There's no final comments or question. And I just want to express gratitude for the community for coming out, because as we would say as a project team, community progress is our purpose. I know sometimes we get into heated debates. There's been questions and more questions, but we really do appreciate everyone for coming out and listening today. I want to thank the project manager from Meridian for coming and sharing as well as our social and gender specialists for doing such a good job. Not forgetting my project teammate, Andre, as part of the whole process, we want to build capacity, so we give him the opportunity to present this evening. So let's just give them all a round of applause. And to you, for being a lovely audience, for our permanent secretary who always support us as well, to our parliamentarian, and to our friends and the community. Thanks again. Until next time.
Us in person and online for the 6th Town Hall meeting of the Montserrat Ports Development Project. We extend special thanks to the Anglican Church Diocese for allowing us use of this beautiful building. Mr. Jim Bass, thank you for opening us with prayer. Thank you to our presenters, Mr. Rawlson Patterson, the project coordinator, Mr. Andre Daly, the Clerk of Works, Meridian Construction Company Limited, represented by Mr. Peter Watson-Hoffer, the project manager, and Dr. V. Clarice Barnes, the social and gender specialist. I know you all clapped already, but can we clap again? Thank you. Thank you to the Philomagic media team for handling the streaming and production for this meeting. Updates on the Port Development Project are shared via the Ministry of Communications, Works, Labor and Energy's Facebook and Instagram pages. So, you heard Claude, keep up to date. Right. I am Charlene Lindsay for Golden Media, and have a good evening. Thank you.